Okay, it's recording now. So we had finished the 22nd shloka of the 10th chapter. Now we will start the 23rd shloka. So to summarize what we have done so far and what this chapter is about, because every time, you should be very clear what this chapter is about. This chapter is about worship, right? Upasana. And what is Upasana? What is Upasana? What did we learn?
Guna Anusandhana.
Guna Anusandhana. Guna Anusandhana means looking at the world where, something great in this world, and that reminds you of infinite greatness of that quality. That is called Guna Anusandhana. And that is the whole point of what is called as Pratika Upasana. Right? Krishna, because the question of Arjuna is, Keshu Keshu Bhaveshu. So how do I worship you? In what forms? In what things? In what people? In what phenomenon should I worship you? Right? And the reason for that is there's so many great things in the world that we call great. And so how do I use that as pratika, the idol or the icon or the symbol that reminds me of Paramatma's infinite greatness? Right?
Question about Upasana. The literal meaning of Upasana is staying close to the God, sitting close to the God.
No. See, the old meaning of Upa is different from the new meaning of Upa. In Sanskrita, Upa, what in English, what is the word for above?
Bhav. No, having no bhava.
No.
Upper.
Up, above, up.
Upper, yeah.
That is Upa. Sanskrita Upa is up. That is, it's the same dhatu. So if when we say
Upa does not mean near.
No, Upa also means near, but it's a secondary meaning. The first meaning, if you say in every, in Hindi, upar.
Upar.
In Kannada, upparige, up. If you go anywhere in the world, this dhatu, up for above, is prominent. That is the old meaning of the word upa. The dhatu meaning
became near also, right? Upanayana.
Upanayana. See, Upanayana in the initial thing meant taking one above, taking them higher, to the higher level, to higher grade, from a regular or normal existence. Upanishad also means the same thing. It's not taking near, taking the shishya near the guru. It doesn't mean anything. It is upanayana or upanishada. That means taking one higher in thinking, in knowledge, all of those things. That is upa.
So just sorry, since you are saying Upanayana, a lot of places they give this meaning that it means that going near the teacher and learning from the teacher. So that's wrong.
Yeah. Correct. That is wrong. I mean, it's not wrong in the sense that upa means near. Upa means near, right? But upa's primary meaning, if you look at what meaning has spread around the world, is higher. But we have lost that meaning. But it is retained in the world, in the words that we have all, we use not only in English and other languages. I think even Uber probably is also that. But also in Indian languages, right? In all, upparige in Kannada or upar.
Upavishatu means get up, right? Upavishatu. That also again is the same thing.
So Upa means up. Up is the older meaning of Upa.
This context of time, I wanted to know the clear definitions of prarthana, puja, and the shabdas which are starting with upasana, upavasa, upanishad, this kind of thing. I want to know the subtle difference between puja, prarthana, and upasana.
Upasana is what we are discussing. Upasana, again, it is that which takes you higher. That is upasana. Okay. And what is upasana? Upasana what is taking you higher? It is Guna Anusandhana is taking you higher. And what is Guna Anusandhana? Because I don't want to use Sanskrit terms without describing it. Otherwise, it is useless. Guna Anusandhana means looking at a quality in this world and then that reminding you in your mind of the infiniteness of God. Like, if you look at Agni, then the quality that Agni reminds you is of purity, right? And infinite purity is God. So that purity of Agni should remind you of the purity of God, which is infinite times of what we encounter in this world. And, Upasana can be, if you look at the Upanishads, remember I taught you about the Pratika Upasana, right? Different Pratikas. The Jala, Agni Pratikas, right? All Bhumi Pratika, Jala Pratika, Agni Pratikas, Vayu Akasha Pratikas, Surya Pratikas, and then Hridaya Pratikas, Shabda Pratika, all of those, And so, if you look at the Upanishads, there is nothing called idol worship, in the sense that there is no worship of a clay idol. In the in Upanishad, the worship, the three main idols that are worshipped in that sense is in the Adhibhautika, that means in this worldly, it is Agni, right? Agni is the most highest pratika through which anybody can worship. That's the highest one, and that has the most fruit. There's no pratika that gives you higher fruit than Agni in the Adhibhautika domain. Agni is the most Shrestha. Worship of Paramatma in Agni is the Shreshtatama. Okay. In the Adhidaivika, in the heavenly, it is Surya, right? So in Bhuloka, it is
Surya.
Agni Narayana. In Swarloka, it is Surya Narayana. Okay. So then again, that is the second pratika. And then in the Adhyatma, that means within us, in our body, it is in the Hridaya Kasha. So if you look at all the Upanishads, every one of them will talk about worship in the, of these three as of most important. And then if you go look at all these Upanishads, they talk of pratikas, they use pratikas which are physical phenomenon, right? I'll give you an example from Chandogya, because there is a story which I'll relate to you some other time. But there is in the Chandogya Upanishad, there is something called as Panchasama Upasana. Okay, and this is beyond the scope of this class, but I'll just mention what it is. So that means it is the worship of Paramatma is 5 forms, right? Panchasama, 5 forms of Sama, as part of the Samaveda, and in the physical phenomenon, okay, in the worldly phenomenon, and in one of the worship is the worship of Paramatma in the pratik of rain. Okay, so you worship God in rain. So how it goes is like this, right? I'm going to mention that mantra. Vristau panchavida samopasita. So within the rain, you worship the 5 forms of Paramatma. Okay. Puro vato himkaraha. That means his first form, God's first form, as himkara. I'll not explain all of those details, but his himkara is in Purovata. That means before rain, there is this wind. It becomes very windy before it rains, right? That's called Purovata. So within that wind, you worship God's first form in this 5 form worship. Okay. Megho jayate saprastavaha. That means when the dark clouds come, within the dark clouds, you worship the second form, and the name of the second form is Prastava. Right? Varshadisa Udgitaha. That means when it starts to rain, then within that rain, you worship the third form called Udgita. And then Vidyotate Stanayati Sapratiharaha. That means when it is lightning and thunder, within that lightning and thunder, you worship another form of God called Pratihara. And then Udghrunadi Tannidhanam. So the final form is when the rain ends. Varshati havai varshayati sa ya evam vidwan vrishto panchaveda samopasita. So that completes. That means the siddhi. That means one who gets siddhi of this mantra, the prosperity will rain on him, and also whenever he wants, he can create rain. And there is a story of this mantra siddhi that at some other time I'm going to relate to you how this mantra creates rain, and it has created rain. Right? So that is in the Upanishads language. The pratikas are these physical phenomena: rain, the 5 aspects of rain, and worship of God within rain, the worship of God within madhu, honeycomb. There's a worship called madhu vidya. So that is what. So there was no clay idol. There's nothing like that. That maybe there might have been some stones or something that they were worshipping at that time, but what was prevalent during the Upanishadic times was the worship of Paramatma in physical phenomena around the world, right? And all the phenomena, the worship in the world within fire was considered the highest. Within sun was considered the highest in the Adhidaiva domain, and within the heart was considered the highest in the Adhyatma domain. Right? So that is what is Upasana. See, you should not be bookish about Upasana. For example, I'll try to kind of challenge you into coming out of this bookishness. Let's say I challenge you to worship a chair as a pratika. What would that remind you? Let's say you start worshipping chair as a pratika. A God is in chair. I worship Paramatma as Antaryami of chair. What would be your Anusandhana?
Its ability to hold you.
That is how you should think.
Wow.
The chair, there is Paramatma in the chair, right? And what is that? What is the Guna Anusandhana? It holds you. It gives you stability.
Support.
It stabilizes you. Support, right? And you can connect that to the Etadalambanam Sreshtam, Etadalambanam Param of the Kathopanishad, where it says he is the foundation of the world. That Upasana connects to the Upasana of chair. Even though I'm not trivializing it, it is possible, even though it doesn't give us bhakti to worship Paramatma in the chair. But this is how you should think. This is how you should not be bookish about this. You should attach to the spirit, not the literal sense of what it says. The spirit is Paramatma can be worshipped within any things, in any phenomenon, and you can take that quality. Worship Paramatma in
Laptop.
in elevator, right? So the worship, what is elevator? Oh, it takes people from below to the higher ground. So he is the one that takes me to high. That becomes Upa-asana. Upanishad, right? He is the one that takes me higher, but it also takes people down. So you can say Paramatma is the one who takes the adhamas, the bad, down to the adhogati. So he who gives urdhogati to good people and adhogati to bad people, that is the upasana of Paramatma in an elevator, right? That is upasana. That is how you should do. If you look at Upanishad is full of like this. I mean, it's not talking about elevator, but it's talking about physical, in rain, in plants, in trees, in all of these physical phenomena, there is Paramatma. And each of those, worshipping of each of those gives actually some siddhis, like, bringing rain, doing this, and, all of those things. That is what an upasana is.
I have a feeling that most Indians understand this intrinsically. I mean, even if they are not able to explain it, but I feel that thing is, Hindus understand this intrinsically.
No, the understanding might be that, Paramatma is inside it or something, but Guna Anusandhana understanding is, I don't think so. I've not seen.
Know. I mean, I kind of felt this, felt the same way what you're telling me is how I was looking at things earlier. And I thought that's the way people also, that's why they say God is everywhere, which doesn't mean God is that chair. I mean, that understanding will be there in Hindus.
See, God is not chair. That understanding, I mean, that is, that is like ABCD. If you do not come out of that level, then, there's no upasana. But within Indian traditions, there are schools which says, for example, there in the Brahma Sutras, there is a sutra called Na Pratike Nahi Saha, which is Om Na Pratike Nahi Saha Om. That is the sutra. How to do upasana. In that it says, never consider the pratika as Paramatma itself. Na Pratike Nahi Saha. So Paramatma is not pratika.
Correct.
Some of the bhashyas say, no. When you are worshipping, during that time, you can actually superimpose the idea of God on the pratika itself. You can consider pratika as God when you are doing the upasana. That is not right. That is called as asad upasana. Right? You should not do andrita upasana, and you should never do asat upasana, which means you should never do a worship which is a lie. Right? Lie is never a worship. When you consider something which is not as something which is, that is called as andrita upasana or asat upasana. Right? So that is also there.
No, like if they worship, say for the car or the bus, when the new one comes, they do something to it. What would you call that?
But do you think really people are doing guna anusandhana when they're doing car worship? No.
I thought.
No. They're not. They might be thinking that yes, there is a Paramatma Adhisthana in Vahana, right? But Vahana is a pratika, and just like Vahati takes from one place to another. Same way, Paramatma also is the one who takes the world around, or who makes the world go around. Right? That guna anusandhana is not there, which should be there, and that is what whole point of upasana is. The whole point of upasana is guna anusandhana. Look at the world and look at the guna of something which is special, and then take that guna times infinity. That is what Paramatma is. Right? That is what upasana is. This should be very clear from this chapter. You can use anything as upasana, and if you start doing that, then you can really get into the spirit of what upasana is, spirit of what Upanishads say. If you stick to idol, then you lose that, because then you're mostly doing the superposing or imposing of the image of Paramatma into the pratikas, which is not, that's actually an asat upasana. You should not be doing that. Right? You should not be considering the idol as God, even at the time of worship. That's not true. It is never, and it will never be. You should always do antaryami upasana, that he is the antaryami within it. It is not him. It will never be him.
That is true. But at the same time, even if anybody does that, there is no death sentence or anything like that. That part is also amazing about our culture, right? I mean, if somebody does that.
Not in the Laukika,
No.
but in the Paramarthika there is. So that's why it's considered asat upasana. It means it gives you adhogati. Wrong worship gives you adhogati.
What is that?
No, wrong worship takes you lower into ajnana, more and more.
Ajnana, but okay, that sense. In the spiritual sense, there is a downfall.
Correct. There is a downfall in the spiritual sense, even though in the Laukika sense there is no. Okay, so this should be very clear. So that the pratika upasana, right? And now Krishna is saying that my pratikas are infinite, and I cannot give you the details. So let me give you the details of things that are special in its own groups or across groups, and then you look at, that's what is called vibhuti. You look at that's what is special in them, what makes them special, times infinity is what I am. Not only that, why they are special in that group is not because of themselves, because of me. So if you say, Surya, like if you go back to the verse 21, right here he says, Jyotisham Ravir Amshuman, among all the objects of the night, the lights of the night, not the night, I mean that among all the lights in Swarloka, in heavens, sun is the greatest for us, right? So now I said sun is not great because of itself, but because of Paramatma's antaryami in it. Does that mean that sun has no greatness at all? What is the greatness of the sun then?
Ability to generate energy is the greatness of sun.
No, the greatness of the sun is that it has the yogyata, the capacity to have Paramatma as the Adhisthana, right? That is the greatness. So the greatness is not, that is the biggest of the lights. The greatness is it has the capacity for Paramatma to sit in it, to make it biggest of the light. So if somebody is great, that greatness is not great, but that they are instrument of Paramatma to express the greatness in them is their greatness. So that should be the switch in our attitude of looking at greatness. When you look at a great person and you kind of admire them, don't admire the greatness, admire the capacity in them that express that greatness, because the greatness is expression of Paramatma, but the capacity is their own, right? There are two aspects. The greatness that we see is the expression of Paramatma, but the capacity to hold that greatness is the expression of the yogyata, the capacity. That is their greatness. That is why not every light is sun, but there is only one sun, right? Because it is that greatness.
It's a yogyata, right?
Yogyata. So that it can be the instrument through which God expresses, that is its greatness. Arjuna, why is Arjuna great? Because God expressed in him as Nara, right? As in him, and made him the greatest warrior of his time. So is that Arjuna? No, that's not Arjuna. It is Krishna. The greatness of Arjuna is Krishna. But Arjuna is has the capacity to have Krishna expressed through him. That is Arjuna's greatness. So once you start seeing greatness, around us in the world in this way, then you have truly understood Vaidika Upasana, the concept of Vaidika Upasana. That is how you admire the greatness in the world. That is worship. Worship is an admiration. Admiration where you say the greatness is the expression of Paramatma, but the capacity is the greatness of the person or the pratika. The pratika is also great, right? Because it upholds that Paramatma is within it, expressing it. So that is the greatness of the pratika. So in all of the names that we see here, unless it is a pratyaksha rupa, that means, Vishnu himself, then that's him. But if you look at all the others, like, Shashi. So here, Nakshatranam Aham Shashi. So Shashi, the greatness that's expressed by Shashi and all of the things I told about that greatness is expression of Paramatma. But Shashi is the Adhisthana who has the capacity, so much capacity that God chose to express through him. That is the greatness of the moon. That is the greatness of the moon, right? So that is how you should think. For all of the pratikas, unless it's a pratyaksha rupa, if it is a tirohata rupa, that means it's a pratika of some person, great person, then that is how you should switch. The admiration should be of the capacity and not the greatness. That is a switch that is required for upasana. This should be very, very clear. Is it clear?
Yes, Sunil.
Okay. So now let's go to the verse 23. Okay. So now, in the first one, the lights in the Antariksha, in the Swaraloka, then we came to Maruts in the Antariksha Loka, and the Shabda Pratikas, Veda, then Vedabhimani Devatas, Devanam Asmi Vasava, then they are the Indriya Abhimanis. So, they came to Indriya, and then finally awareness itself, Chetana itself is the greatest expression of Paramatma's the greatness. So we had stopped there. Next, who is the Abhimani of the Manas? The main Abhimani of the Manas. It's not Chandra. Chandra is the secondary Abhimani. The main Abhimani of Manas is Rudra. So now he takes up Rudra. Comes to, so what we have done so far, so I've told you how many deities are the most important according to Upanishads? I told you about 100.
Yes.
But then of the 100, who are the most important? "33. Right? I told you. 33 devatas, like Brihadaranyaka Upanishad talks about 33 devatas. What are the 33 devatas? It is the Dwadasha Adityas, which we already talked about Dwadasha Adityas in this one, right? Adityanam Aham Vishnu. So it covers Dwadasha Adityas. Then Ekadasha Rudras, 11 Rudras, and then Ashtavasus comes to 31. Then you have Indra and then Daksha. So Indra comes twice, and this is a different Indra, but I'll tell you what it is. But these are also expression of Jyotisha, right? The 12 Adityas are the 12 Rashis. The Ashtavasus are the Grahas, the 5 Grahas, and then Sun, Moon, and the Nakshatras. And then the 11 Rudras are expressed as the Ashtama Rashi, which is 11 places where Rahu sits. They are the destroyers. Rahu Ketu sits. So they are the destroyers. That is the whole picture of the Rashis, the Nakshatras, and then finally Rahu Ketus. Right? So the Vasus are the one that give resources to create. Vasu itself is that. The ones that gives resources to create. And they are the Abhimanis of the Pancha Bhutas. Right? The Akasha Tattva, Vayu Tattva, Agni Tattva, all of those tattvas that's required to create the world. That is what the Vasus are. So you can see it's like the manufacturing industry, right? They are the ones that provide the resources and help with manufacturing. The world Srishti, Vasus are that. And during the time when people used to do fire worship, homas, the morning homa was called as Pratah Savana. That you would give havis to the Vasus at sunrise, because that was their meal at sunrise, using Anushtup mantras. Can you tell me the numerology? Why using either Gayatri mantras or Anushtup mantras, you give havis, offerings to the Vasus? Let's see if you can connect the numerology.
What is it, Sunil?
Anushtup is 8, right?
Anushtup is 8 times 4, right? Or Gayatri is 8 times 3,
8 times.
right? So that is why you use Anushtup mantras, which is 8, which signifies Ashtavasus, for the mantras that go into the Pratah Savana, the homa that you do in the morning. The homa in the morning always goes to the Vasus. I mean, in the ancient times, they used to do that 3 times. Then they would come to the afternoon, and with Trishtup mantras, they would do homas to, which is called as the Madhyandina Savana, to the Rudras, the 11 Rudras. And Trishtup has 11 aksharas, 11 times 4. So they would use that mantra to offer to Rudras. And in the evening, they used to give offerings to through the fire, to the Dwadasha Adityas, who are the sustainers, right? And they were using Jagati mantra. Jagati is 12 times 4, right? 48 aksharas. So they would use that. So this is how they used to do 3 times a day. Morning to the Vasus, offering to the Vasus, afternoon to the Rudras, and evening to the Adityas. Pratah Savana, Madhyandina Savana, and Sayam Savana. So that was a process of everyday worship. That's a daily thing they used to do. There's offered. So because these are the 3 groups of deities, these are Gana Devatas, which means they are groups, right? There's an Aditya group, there is a Rudra group, there's a Vasu group. So these are we are constantly in touch every day, because they are the Abhimani Devatas of the nature in which we live. Within the body, outside the body, they are the Abhimanis, right? I mean, Jala, there's a Jala Devata, Vayu, there's Vayu Devata, and we are in constant contact every day, right? So we are in constant contact with the Vasus, we are in constant contact with Rudras, we are in constant contact with Adityas through the sun. So these are the ones we in everyday life we deal with on a daily basis. And if you go to the 3rd chapter, what Krishna says is, when creation started, yajna was the center of this creation, through which man and the devatas, which is these Gana devatas, would talk to each other. The man offers through the fire that goes to the Gana devatas, and they rain the prosperity back to man. And he says that is the Yajna Chakra. Krishna talks about Yajna Chakra. Annad bhavanti bhutani parjanyad anna sambhava, right? And then Yajnad bhavati parjanyaha. So that Yajna Chakra that he talks about, the cycle of Yajna, how we offer, how there is rain, how food is formed, and from food, body is formed, and then that body actions, and the actions create Homa, and then Homa, it again carries on and on and on, right? And he says Yajna is center to that. When the offering to Paramatma, into the Devatas and Paramatma stops, then the prosperity that rains on us also stops. Because Havis is the food of the Devatas. They lose the strength to do good to us if we don't offer. And when they don't do good to us, it is very easy to take us in the bad direction, which is the story of our life right now. Right? So this, in a lot of sentences, is what what they used to worship as the Gana Devatas. There was always everyday worship of Vasus, there was everyday worship of Rudras, and there was everyday worship of Adityas. Every day, through fire, they used to do that. Okay. So now coming to this one, Rudranam Shankaraschasmi. Right? So now he says, the first Gana Devata, he says, Adityanam Aham Vishnu. So he himself, Pratyaksha Rupa, is one of the Adityas in the Vamana Trivikrama, right? Now among Rudra, he says, among Rudra, I express the most in Shankara. So there are 11 Rudras, of which Maheshwara Rudra or Mahadeva Rudra is what we call Shiva. So there are 10 others. We worship Shiva, who is the leader of the Rudras, but there are 10 more Rudras. There are 10 more Rudras who are Rudra Ganas, of which the leader is Shankara. Why is he the leader? Because within him, Paramatma expresses that guna the highest. Right? That is, we'll see what that is. Right? So, and you can see here in the Gita Vivritti, Sukha Karanatvat Shankara Namaha. That means, what does Shankara mean? Shankara means Sham Karoti. That means Sukham, Sukha Karana. He who gives us happiness. He who gives us happiness is Shankara. So that is his guna. That is a guna anusandhana that you have to do. Within him, the Antaryami is the one who gives, who blesses us with Ananda, Sukha, Ananda in the world. That is Shankara. Okay. Now let's do some deep dive into Shankara. Are you guys ready?
Ready.
Okay.
Waiting for a week.
Yeah. So now let me stop sharing this one and let's go back to the spreadsheet. Okay. So first of all, let's look at the hierarchies here, right? Where does Rudra come? Rudra is here, right? He's here. He comes with the Garuda Shesha Rudra, right? And he's the leader among the 11 Rudras. That is, he's in this position. The other Rudras are down here, right? 6 Adityas, 47 Maruts, 10 Rudras, excluding Shiva. They are in this position. They are here. But he is up here. So that means he's very high deity. I mean, he's above senses, right? If you look at where Indra is, Indra Kama are here. They rule the Karma Indriyas and Jnana Indriyas. And then, Manas and all of those things come here. So these are Antakarana Devatas. That means these are higher faculties. These are the faculties of thinking. These are the faculties of judging, faculties of memory. All of those comes from here above. Right? So these are the ones that actually provide knowledge. Therefore, Jnanam ichet Maheshwarat. Right? Arogyam Bhaskarad ichet. Dhanam ichet Hutashanat. Jnanam Maheshwarad ichet. You should seek the blessings of Maheshwara, Rudra, for knowledge. He is the knowledge giver. Right? So he is here because why is he the knowledge giver? Because he is above the devatas here. If you look at all of these devatas, they all, until Rudra, until Indra, they are all the rulers of senses and organs of actions, not the higher faculties. Higher faculties are Manas, Buddhi, Ahankara, Chitta. That starts from here. If we'll take from here, that starts from here. Leave Prakriti. She's way above. But if you take all of this here, this is where the Manas, Buddhi, Ahankara, Chitta comes. Right? And this is where Ahankara comes. Rudra is the Ahankara Tattva Abhimani Devata. Ahankara means what? It also means ego, but Ahankara means self-awareness. So is there philosophy, spirituality without self-awareness? That is the first thing needed. You need Ahankara to be spiritual. But you need to give up Durahankara. But you need to have Ahankara, not Durahankara. So that is the most important difference that you need to understand. If you have Durahankara, that is against spiritual progress. But without Ahankara, there is no spiritual progress. So that is why Ahankara is so high in this hierarchy. Without Ahankara, there is no spirituality. Without self-awareness, there is no spirituality. Right? And the faculty that gives us that self-awareness, see, Atma Guna, see, the nature of Jiva is to be self-aware. But then, in samsara, Jiva needs an instrument to reflect that self-awareness. Right? And that, like, Jiva can think. Okay? But in samsara, Jiva needs manas, the brains, to think, without which he cannot think. Jiva cannot judge without the buddhi in the sharira. Jiva cannot be self-aware without ahankara in the sharira. Jiva cannot remember without chitta in the sharira. Right? Even though Jiva himself can do by himself all of this, but in samsara, without the body, we cannot do thinking, judging, self-awareness. Nothing cannot happen. Because we are stuck in samsara, we depend on, it's just like this, right? Let's say you have stopped doing crunching math in your head. You need a calculator, right? That is the situation with us, right? Without calculator, you cannot do math. But you really have the ability to do math in your own head. But you have come down to such a level that even 1 + 1, you have to do that on the calculator, right? That is what this all of these are. Manas is one calculator. That will, using that, you can think, even though Jiva can think for himself, but you need that calculator. Buddhi is that calculator that gives you Nischaya. Without that calculator, you cannot get Nischaya. But even though Jiva by himself can have Nischaya, right? Ahankara is that calculator you need to be self-aware, even though Jiva by nature is self-aware. But he cannot, because he has lost the ability. He now depends on the calculator to crunch that. And that is the Ahankara Tattva. That is the calculator. That is that instrument that is in our brain that gives us self-awareness. And the deity that controls that instrument that gives us self-awareness is Rudra. Actually, Rudra, Shesha, and Garuda, all of them. But Rudra is the one that controls Ahankara Tattva, that gives us self-awareness. And without self-awareness, spirituality is in ground zero. That's it. It does not go up. First thing you need is self-awareness to spiritually progress. And that's why Jnanam Maheshwaradichet. What Jnanam? Swajnanam Maheshwaradichet. Self-awareness. First, give me self-awareness so that I can make spiritual progress. That is Maheshwara. right? He's one among the 11 group of 11 that basically destroy the world, in the sense that they are the ones that, like Vasus are the creators, Surya is the sustainer, and the Rudras are the destroyers of the world. And he is the leader among them. Like in the Vaivasvata Manvantara, when the Vaivasvata Manvantara started and Brahma was creating, then he created, he wanted to create the creator of the world, for the worlds to be created in the Swayambhu Manvantara. So he started with, Kumara, he started Kumaras, the 4 Kumaras, right? And the Sanat Kumara, Sanandana, Sanaka, Sanandana, Sanat Kumara, right? So these 4 said, we are Kumaras and we cannot do any creation. Then he creates Rudra. Then say, okay, I will do it. And then he and his Gana start destroying everything. So Brahma says, please stop. Your job is not yet started, because you have not created anything. And then finally, the Saptarishis are created, right? And the Saptarishis come up, and then through them creation happens, right? So, and that's how, in this Manvantara, that's how it happened. And so Rudra, his job, he says, is to destroy. But even though we will talk about his different forms and his avatars and all that, he is the creator of the tattvas. But we'll look at that, okay? So you should be very clear about Shiva, Rudra, what his job is, what he does, what is his position. He's a very high deity. Shiva is a very, very high deity, right? And there may be schools of thought that there's this classic Shaiva and Vaishnava fight is useless, right? So Shiva is a very high deity, and Krishna himself is saying he's my greatest pratika among the Rudras. So when Krishna says, what fight, right? It's all useless people that do it. So Rudra is a very, very high deity whose worship is a must for knowledge, especially because he gives he gives varas, blessings, very fast, very quickly. In the Kali Yuga, especially, he gives varas very quickly. That's why if you look at all villains, who gives them the blessings from which they become villains? It's all Shiva or Brahma, right? So Shiva, because Shiva, whatever bad you are, when you do that something and you deserve it, he gives it, whatever you are. That's why he's given blessings to Ravana and all of these people, all of these villains that come up in all the Purana stories, because they did sadhana, and he gives the blessings to sadhanas, right? So that is very important, but that is not what is required. See, when you go to Shiva, you're not going to ask him about wealth. You have to ask him what his capacity is, his knowledge. Nobody should ask Shiva for wealth. Should ask Shiva for jnana.
And Sunil, I think you also covered a great detail in the Jyotisha class, the Jyotisha 101, about the importance of Shiva mantras in each one of the
we are going to do that in this one also. We'll do that. Okay. So let's go to do some deep dive now. Are you guys all ready for deep dive? Any question on Shiva so far?
Sunil, Shankara is one of the Rudras, is it?
No, Shankara is Shiva, Maheshwara, the leader of the Rudras. Okay, so now we go to this avatars. Okay, now we'll do some few things here. Shiva forms. What are the Shiva forms? What are Shiva's avatars? Okay, now these are some 10 that I've captured. First form of Shiva is called Hara. That is his job. Hara is his job. This Maheshwara's name is Hara. That means in Pralaya, during Pralaya, Shiva is the one that destroys. He is the one that destroys the world. That is his job. So he is Hara. That is the thing. So, and within him, Sankarshana or Narasimha is the Antaryami. Who is the Antaryami of Shiva? Antaryami of Shiva is Narasimha. So there is a sukta in the Rig Veda called the Manyu Sukta. Have you guys heard about Manyu Sukta? Do you want me to play it a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay, let me hold on. Give me 1 second. I will explain to you what it is.
Sunil, are you saying Shiva is the Antaryami of Nrsimha or Nrsimha
No,
is the
Nrsimha is
Antaryami
the
of Hara?
Please, you shouldn't be asking that question at this stage.
No, I want to make sure I heard it right.
Yeah. No, Shiva's Antaryami is Nrsimha.
Okay.
Right? Okay, let me hold on. Let me stop sharing this. Let me stop sharing this. One second. Where is that? Okay, this.
Not able to hear.
You cannot hear?
No.
So when I play, okay, so I think something else is needed. How do I?
When you speak, it's coming. Can you put it back again and see?
Should I click on something? I don't know. How to share screen? Okay, so you cannot hear this. I have to figure this out. I don't know. Hide video panel floating.
Maybe if you scroll a little further, maybe the sound may be coming around.
No, I can hear the sound. I am hearing the sound. Okay. So if you go to like later on, when you go to YouTube and then search for Manyu Sukta. So
Hey,
you'll see
Sunil,
both. You see both.
Sunil, you can actually post that link into your note here in the chat, and they can click on it and they can see the YouTube right away. The bandwidth for the Zoom is not large enough to get the sound through from YouTube, so you have to put a link on.
Okay, I'm putting the link on here.
Yeah, in the chat. Yeah, exactly. Now everybody can click and they can see the YouTube link on their own in the computer.
Okay, so if you search on YouTube, you can see. Yeah, I can hear. I can hear from you. Play it. This is very, very powerful. Very, very powerful. Okay. Enough. Let's stop there. Okay. Let's stop there. Okay. So that's called Manyu Sukta. So Manyu Sukta is in the highest sense applicable to Nrsimha, and also it is used for Shiva. Manyu Sukta is, Manyu means what? The angry one, the one who has the anger, right? And that is Nrsimha, right? So when this one of the mantra drishtas, rishis of this sukta, you know who that is? Who is the rishi of the sukta? One of the rishis, earliest rishi, Bhima.
Oh.
So Bhima, when he is fighting with Dushyasana in the Kurukshetra, he hits him. Dushyasana falls on the ground, and then he keeps his leg or his feet on his head, and then these mantras come. You know, he becomes a mantra drishtas. This yaste manyo, that mantra comes, and then with the gada he hits the heart, and then opens the heart and opens up. You know, he brings the blood. So when he is doing that, this mantra is revealed to him. He does this by chanting this Nrsimha mantra. Yaste manyo. Very, very powerful, right? Now it's amazing. You have to play this every day at home. Yaste manyo. It's called Manyu Sukta, and that is the Antaryami, Pralaya. So Manyu, that means the angry one who performs the destruction of the whole universe in the Mahapralaya. that is Narsimha. The angry one who is the instrument of Narsimha, that is Shankara. So Manu Sukta is applicable to both. In the main sense to Narsimha, in the secondary sense to Shiva. Right? So Manu Sukta, that is the important thing to understand through this. Let me go back and share this. Okay. So that is Hara. Hara of him, he is the Pralaya Samharaka who has Narsimha as his Antaryami, who's prayed through Manu Sukta and who sits in the 11th house. In your horoscope, where does Hara sit? Hara sits in the 11th house because there are 11 Rudras, right? I mean, it's the 11th house. That means there is the sutra in the Jaimini Sutras. It says, Tanautana Dandahara, Om Tanautana Dandahara. That means in the numerical system in Sanskrit, the where you can encode it in words, Tana means number 6. Tana means 6 after 6. Danda means punishment. Hara means destruction. Right? So that means the 6th house gives you punishment. Why are you born? Because of your 6th house. What kills is in the 11th house. Hara, where Shiva sits. So even though 11th is called the Labhasthana, where it gives you prosperity, but that is the house that gives you death. That is where, so you shouldn't have bad grahas in that, because that is the one that becomes powerful with the power of Shiva in that destruction. Right? So that is what Tanau Tana Dandahara. That Hara is this Hara. Shiva as Hara. Shiva as Hara sits in the 11th house, causing pralaya in the world and causing pralaya in our life. That pralaya is Hara. Hara. Okay? Clear? Not clear?
Clear, Sunil.
Okay. Next. Sadashiva. Sadashiva, you have heard about Sadashiva. Who is Sadashiva? He is the Tamasa Ahankara Abhimani. He is the one who wears the elephant skin, right? The Shiva with elephant skin as his cloth, the cloth that he wears, his clothes. That is Sadashiva. He rules Ahankara Tattva. That form is Sadashiva. Okay. Then Shiva has a form called Tapa or Ugra Tapa. That means Shiva comes to the position of Shiva by actually meditating deep inside the ocean for 10 Brahmakalpas. So that's an amount of sadhana he has done to enter the position of Shiva. And that 10 Brahmakalpas, the birth in which he did that, this is even before the 50th year of Brahma. Because after 50th year is the actual physical manifestation of the world that happened, right? This is all before Shiva coming to Shiva's position, Indra's coming to Indra position, Devatas coming to Devata positions. All of those happened in the first 50 years of Brahma. How Shiva came to his position? That is through Ugra Tapas. He did tapas within the ocean for 10 Brahmakalpas to attain the Shiva Padavi, the Shiva position. That form is called Ugra Tapa or just Tapa. That is one of the forms, okay? Then his Jnana form, Shukacharya, the one who told Bhagavata, right? The Bhagavata Purana.
Yep. Wow, I didn't even know this.
So Shuka, Shiva is born to Vedavyasa as Vedavyasa's son. See, remember, Shuka is Digambara. He doesn't wear any clothes. That is what Shiva is, right? Digambara. So Shuka is Shiva's avatara to give jnana, especially through Bhagavata. He is the teacher of Bhagavata, right? To Parikshita. The 7 days he tells Bhagavata to Parikshit, after which Parikshit dies. That 7 days, Shuka is he's a Vairagi. Shuka has no this one marriage and all that, right? He's a Vairagi. So that is the Jnana Rupa. He is the one knowledge giving Rupa of Rudra is Shukacharya. Urdhvaretas, that is the next form. What is Urdhvaretas? That means that is also called as Dakshinamurti. After Daksha, there's a story of Daksha doing the sacrifice and not giving the havis to Rudra, and then Sati dying in that sacrifice, right? And once Sati dies, Daksha's head is cut. And then what happens to Daksha? They install a goat's head on it. Yeah. That's why it's called Ajamukha. So we have Kapimukha, we have we have the Hanumukha or Kapimukha, and Hayamukha, Ajamukha. This is Ajamukha. Daksha becomes Ajamukha, right? And then after that, Shiva says he becomes Urdhvaretas. That means he becomes a Vairagi, and he becomes a Dakshinamurti. So Dakshinamurti is another form. Dakshinamurti's another name is Urdhvaretas. Urdhvapata or Urdhvaretas or Dakshinamurti. That is another one. Another form of Shiva is called Tat Purusha. This is a 5-headed form. And this is the Gayatri form. Tat Purushaya Vidmahe Mahadevaya Dhimahi Tanno Rudra Prachodayat. That Tat Purusha has 5 heads. That Tat Purusha is the next form of Shiva. That's called Tat Purusha. Okay. Aurva. Aurva is another rishi, born of Uru, or Uru, actually not Uru, Uru in the Mahabharata. It is another story in Mahabharata. He is born in the Bhrigu lineage as Bhargava, and his anger, he has the anger against, because the Bhrigus and the Hayayas, they are, that's our, Kartivirya Arjuna, they start killing the Bhargavas. And that's how Parashurama is born, to kill all of them, right? So Aurva is the start of that destruction of the Kshatriya, at that time. It starts with Aurva and then ends with Parashurama. That is Rudra Rupa. Okay.
Any relation to Urvashi, who is born out of the Urvas?
No.
Urva is Thais, right?
Urvashi. No, nothing, no connection.
Oh.
Aurva.
Aurva.
Okay. Next Shiva Avatara is Ashwatthama. Right? One of the. What was the question?
No, it's interesting. Ashwatthama to see.
Yeah, that's one of the Chiranjeevis, right? Sapta Chiranjeevinaha. Ashwatthama, Bali, Vyasa. So Ashwatthama is the Chiranjeevi who will be there for 1 Manvantara. Right? So he's still there then. He's still alive.
It's a Chiranjeevi, right?
It's a Chiranjeevi. Yeah, just like Vyasa.
Cursed or something, right? Chiranjeevi. Huh? Got cursed by Krishna or something, right? In Mahabharata.
Right. Yeah. So that Ashwatthama is Rudravatara. Shiva is Ashwatthama. Then, of course, when Arjuna fought with that hunter, Shiva comes in the form of hunter. So that Vyadha is another form of Shiva. He who comes as hunter to fight with Arjuna and then give him Pashupatastra. That's again in Mahabharata. And then Durvasa Muni, born to Anasuya, Atri and Anasuya. First is Vishnu is born as Dattatreya. Shiva is born as Durvasa Muni. And then Moon with Brahma Avesha is born as the third son. Right? And I told you that when I told you this story when I was explaining about Moon. So Durvasa is Shiva. So these are the 10 different forms and avatars of Shiva.
So Sunil, I forgot, during the Daksha Yajna, the form that generates from Shiva's hair, that's not form of a Rudra.
Virabhadra.
Oh, Virabhadra. No. Virabhadra is Rudra Gana. Not Ekadasha Rudras. Okay, I think we have not gone through that, right? So if you, thanks for reminding. So these are the Ekadasha Rudras, right? So if you look at that Bhima, not related to Mahabharata Bhima, the one Rudra name is Bhima, Raivata, Oja, Ajaikapat, Mahadeva, Shiva, Maheshwara. This is the Shiva that we worship. Virupaksha, Bhava, Ugra, Vrishakapi, Ahirbudna, Vamadeva. These are also name of Shiva. The main Shiva also gets these names, but then there are other Rudras who take these names. Vamadeva, Ahirbudna, Vrishakapi, Ugra, Bhava, Virupaksha. Of course, Shiva, Maheshwara is Shiva. Ajaikapat, Oja, Raivata, Bhima.
And Hanuman is also considered as a Rudra Avatara.
No, that's wrong. That's not correct. Hanuman is Pradhana, he's Maruti. Pradhana Vayu. It's Pradhana Vayu. Okay, so is this clear? So these are the Ekadasha Rudras, of which the leader is Shiva. Leader is Shiva, and their job is destruction. Right? Of course, Shiva's job, as we have seen here, Pralaya, he's the Pralaya Karaka, then Ahankara Abhimani Devatas, his tapas that he has done, as son of Veda Vyasa, has given Bhagavata and a lot of knowledge to the world. Dakshinamurti, the giver of knowledge. Then Gayatri Rupa, Tatpurusha, Aurva, Ashwatthama, of course, Vyada, the hunter, that he comes in the hunter's form. And then Durvasa Muni, who is there in a lot of Puranas. Durvasa Muni, the anger of Durvasa is cause of a lot of stories. So Durvasa Muni is also the avatar of Shiva. These are all avatar of Shiva. These are not Rudras. The avatar of Maheshwara, the leader of Rudras, is in all of these forms.
Like people pray for Dakshinamurti, right? Are there people who pray for other forms of Shiva, like Aswatthama and others, or they are just?
No. I don't think there is any Ashwatthama worship. I don't think is not there, because he was on the wrong side.
Okay.
And so that is not there. But Durvasa, again, they're not forms of worship.
Okay.
Like Durvasa and all.
In fact, there's nothing likable about Durvasa. When I see the stories around him, I just don't.
No. But they are the instruments through which all of these things have. Samudra Mathana doesn't happen. Happens only because of the Durvasa Muni's curse, without which nothing would have happened. The Devas learn lessons when they do bad things. Then Durvasa Muni is the one that shows them the way. He curses them so that they learn a lesson. So he has a big role. I
don't know. He would have been. People are scared of. He was also given some unfounded curses, isn't it?
No. It might seem unfounded. Like, for example, right? How are the Pandavas born? It is Durvasa's boon or the blessings to Kunti. Right? Durvasa Muni gives blessings to Kunti. The whole of the Pandavas are born because of him. Right? So, and in any story where he's simply cursing, there is a deeper meaning to this. I mean, Durvasa is Shiva himself, so he's a very high. He doesn't do things like that.
Mr. Hana saw too many movies, maybe.
Yeah. Don't go by movies.
Not movies. You see the stories. It's always like, okay, because they went and he went and had a bath. There was no food, and she's getting into a panic mode, right, Draupadi? That when the Durvasa comes and he's hungry, I have no food. Now those things.
No. That is an acting. But then what the world learned, that when Krishna takes just one grain, and when he is satisfied, the world is satisfied. That lesson is taught through that. They teach lessons. Just like Arjuna is asking so many questions, even though he knows all of these. Why is he asking? Not for himself, but for us. The same way, Durvasa Muni's anger is to make sure that the Devas are in a good path, and all lessons are learnt by people.
Isn't he the one who cursed Shakuntala also?
Durvasa Muni, I don't know if it is Durvasa Muni. It's maybe a different one.
Shakuntala.
Again, then somebody curses, the gatekeepers, right? For not letting the gate.
No, that is this one, the Kumaras, Sanandana, those Kumaras.
The gatekeepers are doing their job, and they're saying you can't go in right now. And then
because Avatara has to happen. These are all things. No, don't see. Anger of Durvasa is not anger of this world. These are Pauranika stories that should be in the back of the mind. These are not like anger of some person, some guy in this world. This is the anger that has a cause. If the Kumaras cursed Jaya Vijaya, there is a reason for it, for the Dashavatara to happen.
So why does the poor guy have to go and become Hiranyakashipu? Because he was, like, I don't know. I think there's a long to.
No. Hiranyakashipu is an asura. He will go in his body. So there's actually, like you have this. What is that? What is it called? Dual personality. What is it called? Extremes.
Split personality.
Bipolar, right? Bipolar. Right? So bipolar kind of thing, where you have the good side and the bad side within one person. In the extreme sense, one guy doesn't know the other guy, right? So that is two jivas in one body. That is the avatar of Jaya Vijaya. If Jaya Vijaya do bad things, then the karma will accumulate.
So what was the bad thing they did by telling one of these people, Sanat Kumara, is it, to not go in?
No. I'm talking about Hiranyakashipu and Ravana and all that. The bad things, all of them did was the asura aspect of that bipolar, within whose body Jaya Vijaya were there, and they would be liberated, freed when they were killed. Right? So otherwise, if they do papa karma, then what happens to their karmas? So they go back to their original form. What happened to all the bad things they did? Then the karma theory will fall. That's not how it is. The asura within that body would have done the bad things. The jiva is the one that is still seeing all of those things and cannot do anything. So it's the bipolar. Bipolar where one doesn't know the other, that kind of thing. That's the Dashavatara. Yeah.
Is that why, Sunil, you say that even though Ravana was killed by Rama, doesn't mean that he gets mukti?
There's no mukti. There's no. Even after Shishupala Dantavakra, after Shishupala is killed, that is the last one. They go back as Jaya Vijaya. There's no mukti. Right. So
Krishna
that is
gave mukti to a lot of asuras. Is that right?
No. He liberated. If there were some good people that were in asura form because of a curse, because of something, when that destruction happened, that the deva was freed from it.
Oh, okay.
If you are really an asura inside out, there is no mukti. So that is why it is very important. There is no asura mukti. It doesn't happen. So you should be very clear about that. Very, very clear about that. Krishna doesn't give mukti. I mean, even in Bhagavad Gita, he'll talk about that. Bad people will go down and down and down. There's no coming back up. Right? So there is no mukti to asuras. Okay, so these are all the forms.
Bali is a asura. He got mukti from Vamana.
No. Come on, people are using mukti, left and right. Mukti is very big.
Yeah.
He got blessings and Indra Padavi. When you are in this class, you cannot use mukti so cheaply.
Yeah.
Mukti doesn't happen that easily.
Yeah.
Bhishma, who gave us the Vishnu Sahasranama, did not himself become a mukta. He went back to his original Vasu form.
Yeah.
Mukti doesn't happen like that. Shishupala did not get mukti. Even though, we were watching, Bhavana was watching the second Mahabharata, not the original one, but the recent one. And then Shishupala is killed. And then I think in the dialogue, it says, so now he becomes mukta. That is only in Hindi movies and Hindi serial, they'll say that. That's
how I am also misled.
Yeah. No. There's no, like Ravana is killed and he become mukta. Then how is Shishupala born? Shishupala is again, the avatar of Ravana. No, there's nothing like that.
Oh.
So mukti means mukti from that body. You have to use it in that restricted sense that yes, he was liberated from that body in which he was imprisoned with an asura. and then now he's free. Right? And not mukti as in naija sukhanubhutihi mukti, not that kind of mukti. Okay.
So
In this class,
just as Paramatma can have avatars, asuras also can have avatars.
Definitely. Oh, I think I had not shown you that I also added the dark piece to this, right? Who is in the other side? See, on one side you see Chaturmukha Brahma. Who is on the other side? Kali. We didn't go through this from here. Ordinary. We didn't go to this part. I added this. I have to expand on this. So this is the dark. Who is the worst of the worst? Kali. His lifespan is the lifespan of Brahma. 100 years of Brahma is also the 100 years of Kali. Right? So that is Duryodhana. That is hala poison. All of this is Kali. His wife is Alakshmi, the one who brings poverty and all of those bad things. Right? And all of the Simhika, the mother of Rahu, Viprachitti, all of Namuchi, all of these asuras that rule Shadripus, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, all of these things, right? That I'm adding this. So I'm going to be building this, the negative part. Right? We have seen the positive part. I'll be building a extensive negative part where you can see on one pole is Brahma and Prana, or here is Bhimasena, and here is Duryodhana. They always will fight. They'll come in yugas and they'll fight. And the Lord of this world now is this guy and his wife Alakshmi, whose another name of Alakshmi is Mlecha. She is Mlecha.
What is it, Sunil? Mlecha.
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 Okay. Good.
Very good.
Okay. So we did this different forms of Shiva. Now, and I think Venki was mentioning this, right? How to do Shiva mantras? Which mantra to do when, where, why? All of those things we'll see. You need to understand Shiva, right? What is Shiva? You understood the position of Shiva and his capability and his capacity, the glory of which is the glory of Narsimha. But the greatness is that it is in Shiva Pratika as Shankara, right? Now, do you know Jyotirlinga?
Yes.
So there are 12 Jyotirlingas, right? And they are assigned each of the Rashis. Why?
What? Because.
Okay, Rama is associated with which graha?
Rama is associated with, it's Mesha. As per this one, it's Mesha, right?
No. Rama, what Vamsha is Rama?
Surya Vamsa.
So Rama is associated with sun. Where does sun get Uchatva, exaltation?
Mesha.
Mesha Rashi, right? So Rameshwara Jyotirlinga is the Jyotirlinga that brings sun to exaltation. That means if the sun is in a back position when you were born, what will give the light to that sun? Because see, he's the knowledge giver, right? Jyotirlinga, Jyoti means knowledge. And Maheshwara's job is to give knowledge, right? When Maheshwara gives knowledge, so when a graha in your horoscope has defects, that means it has lost the Jyoti. To give that graha the Jyoti back, see, when the graha is in exaltation, when it is in Uchatva, it has all of the Jyotis. The knowledge is very much there in the Uchatva. So if there is a problem, what happens? How to give that graha the strength and the light? You have to do the mantra of Rameshwara. Rameshwara will solve all of your sun problems. And I know that it works because I have experienced it. It works. Okay, Rameshwara will clear sun issues if there is anything. Okay, that is Rameshwara. Who gets exalted in Rishabha Rashi?
Moon.
So who is the one that gives light to the moon? Somanatha.
Sun gives the light. Right?
No. Somanatha, Ishvara. In the Shiva's form, Somanatha Jyotirlinga gives this is in Gujarat, right? This gives the light to the moon. That means if there's a moon trouble, if there's a moon problem, what happens? You have to do the japa, mantra japa of Somanatha Jyotirlinga. It will restore the light to that graha. Okay, and he rules Rishabha Rashi. Now, which graha gets exalted here in the Mithuna Rashi?
Mithuna Rashi, I think Mercury. I mean, Buddha.
See, I'm saying here it's Nageshwara Jyotirlinga.
You mean Rahu?
Rahu gets exalted in Mithuna, right? So Rahu, what is Rahu? Sarpa, right? I mean, that and Nageshwara Jyotirlinga will clear. I think Nageshwara Jyotirlinga is in Gujarat itself. I don't remember the place. Nageshwara Jyotirlinga is also in Gujarat. Dwarika? Okay, so it's in Dwarika. So Nageshwara is in Dwarika. So if you have Rahu problems, then Nageshwara is going to solve the Rahu problems. And go to Dwarika and get a darshan of Nageshwara. Most of the Rahu problems, if there's a problem, will go away because Nageshwara rules. He gives the light to Rahu, who is himself darkness. He gives light to him. Okay. And then which graha gets Uchatva in Karkataka Rashi?
Jupiter.
Guru. Okay. And Guru, who gives light to Guru? Guru is Brihaspati himself. Where is Brihaspati's knowledge coming from? Which Jyotirlinga? Omkareshwara Jyotirlinga. And I don't know where Omkareshwara is. But that is the Jyotirlinga that gives so if there is a Guru problem in your chart, do the Omkareshwara mantra japa. Okay? Omkareshwara Jyotirlinga is the best to remove the troubles of the graha that has lost the light, that has lost the knowledge for Guru. Krishneshwara, there's nothing that becomes exalted here. So it's just in the, it's sitting on the throne in the Leo, Krishneshwara. Problems of what graha gets Ucha here? Buddha. That is Mallikarjuneshwara. That is, I think it's a Sri Shailam. Mallikarjuna is in Sri Shailam. So Mallikarjuna Jyotirlinga, that is the one that makes Buddha, lustrous again. If there's Buddha problem, Mercury problem in the chart when you're born, then the one that removes is Mallikarjuna Jyotirlinga. And then, which graha gets exaltation here?
Saturn,
Shani, right? Shani. So Mahakaleshwara. Mahakaleshwara is the one that takes away all Shani problem. Shani is also Kala, right? That means he is the Kala Abhimani. Time. He rules time. Madhya Pradesh, Ujjain. That is the original longitude, 0 longitude, from where time starts. Not Greenwich mean time. Indian mean time is Ujjain. That's the world's mean time is Ujjain.
That's why it's called Ujjain.
Ujjain is where Mahakaleshwara is. He's the Lord of time and also the Lord that solves the problem of Shani. Right? That's Mahakale, very, very powerful. And I know that Sana had gone there, right? Mahakaleshwara.
Yeah, I went there. It was a very memorable trip.
Is that the original one, or just like Somnath, that the original
rebuilt.
See, all of these are lost. I mean, this is the sad part, is India did not fight against this. All of the original Jyotirlingas that were there in Somnath, they're all gone. They put something there in its place. Everything is gone.
The site is still the same, no? So
The original Jyotirlinga with that power, where it's gone. It's gone.
No, they
Somanatha.
have the linga inside that, like the underground thing. They claim that, like that is the original linga which was there actually. Like, they were hiding and then they used to have soldiers inside that. So,
I'm not sure about the actual linga, but the superstructure definitely has been rebuilt. So linga
yeah, that's rebuilt by Patel. After
no, before that is Ahalyabai, the most important.
Yeah, but there is a linga inside the underground. I don't know whether you got to visit, but when we were there,
I got to see the full
the underground linga, and they migrated the original linga, and then the soldiers were guarding against the Muslim invasion.
Maybe.
Okay, but this is the sad part, right?
Yeah,
we have lost these places.
True, very true.
We have lost these places. These places are, immensely important. These Jyotirlingas are immensely important, and Kali is ruling this, and he's destroying one by one all of this. Why? Because people are not fighting for it. That's it. As long as you not fight for it, you are going to lose again more and more and more. That is going to be the story.
The Kashi Vishwanath temple is also a Jyotirlinga, right?
Yeah, that's and he's in the 9th house. I'll come to that. Let's finish this one. Okay. So Mahakaleshwara takes away Shani's problems. All of Shani's problems is removed by Mahakaleshwara, and that is Ujjain is the center of the time of the world. The longitude 0, ancient times was in Ujjain, and again it's called Madhya Desha, right? Madhya Pradesh is the center. It's the center. Vaidyanatheshwara, again I don't remember which place Vaidyanatha is. Again, there's no graha that gets exaltation in Vrishchika Rashi, but again he's the god of medicine. Vishwanatha, he's the dharma. The dharma is in the 9th house. If you look at this, the 9th house from Mesha is Dhanur Rashi. Dhanur Rashi is the warrior, the dharma, the one who saves the dharma. That's Varanasi, right? He lives in Varanasi. Again, the original linga is gone. What is there in
gone. Yeah, it's
Kashi Vishwanatha is not the one.
Yeah.
So, and again, this is gone, right? Varanasi is gone.
It's supposed to have in the well. There is a well, right? Because that Gyanvapi mosque was built.
Correct. I saw a documentary, but I was wondering why they are not taking it out of well and installing it. I mean, if the original is in the well, then why are they're taking the person who was doing the program to the well and showing the original is in the well? Well, congratulations. I mean, if it's in the well, then pull it out and do the worship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That well is in the mosque, and I don't know. I mean, that is the original space. They should actually destroy the mosque and reclaim the whole place.
No, of course, you cannot be secular, right? Useless people.
So basically, we made the mistake of not of destroying only the Ram Janmabhoomi. Suppose they had destroyed 3-4 at the same time, then all of them would have, they would have been. You could have got them back.
See, all of these, I know for sure that Somanatha Jyotirlinga was used to build steps for somebody's. Was it Gori, Ghazni, somebody's?
Oh yeah, Ghazni,
right?
Ghazni.
So this Jyotirlinga is in Ghazni.
There actually,
right?
Somnath temple wasn't there until Patel rebuilt it. Until recently, Somnath temple did not exist actually. It was totally destroyed.
Right. No. What I'm saying is the original linga that was there for a long time. That linga was pulled. Somnath Jyotirlinga was pulled, and then put as one of the steps leading to the samadhi. Samadhi. What is it called?
The masjid or dargah or whatever.
Dargah where this guy's body is there. Ghazni or Gori's
body. So that everybody tramples on it when they go up to the.
So just let this seep into your mind and into your heart, that this Jyotirlinga that gives the luster to the moon, that is now sitting as a step of this for this dargah. I mean,
but there's more evidence coming to light now that it has to be investigated. That it was probably remember that Kaaba originally had a lot of images, right?
Yeah.
Kaaba, where they used to have a lot of images which used to be worshipped. They were all pagans at one time, correct? And so that is the same that's why they came to Somanatha. That's why they say. Because
I think that is kind of, I think that's some kind of a story.
yeah, it could
I
be
don't
some
know.
story, but
But I know that Quraysh is the tribe, right? That
correct.
was the one that was worshipping in Mecca, pre-Islamic times. But yeah.
But some
So
form of Shiva also was worshipped by them.
that I don't know.
There is That is
They
Makkah.
were pagans.
Kaaba,
They
right?
were
no, in the Kaaba they have a like a Shivalanga, like like the gold, the North Indian Shiva. They have that inside, it seems.
yeah.
No,
I
that
mean,
is see, these are conspiracy theories. I mean, you should have I mean, these of course.
No. So Sunil, don't dismiss it right away like that. There is, I know some serious people also who were working on this. The point is that they were before Muhammad took over there, right? Because these were all the people who were Indic people only living there, right? They had Indic forms of worship. They had a Devi. They had a Devi worship, although the Ishtara and all those people.
No, Devi worship was there. No, just because it's Devi worship, it's not, Mannat is one of the Devis, right? I mean, they used to.
Yeah, there are plenty of deities, yeah.
It was like the god of prosperity, but now that doesn't make it, Lakshmi. I mean, they're not awareness of Lakshmi, right?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean, but there is some kind of form of, earlier form
similarity.
of.
Yeah, there is a similarity. Yeah.
Prophet Muhammad's grandfather was a Shiva Bhakta. That's what I heard.
That
was called as Makkeshwara, something like
They
that.
are definitely Indic. They are definitely Indic people.
I need more proof for that.
And they were following customs which are very similar to what we have.
Similarity, just like they say, similarity does not deduce causality, right? In statistics, they say correlation is not causation.
Similarity is a big thing too. Similarity is a big thing too, that all over India.
Unless there is a thread. There is a thread that connects. Correlation is not causation.
You want that original, the same kind of worship. Maybe that was not happening, but that worship of nature in various symbolic forms and all that. In that, there was probably this understanding of.
No, there probably, there might be a very old link, very old, pre-civilizational link.
Yeah.
That has continued, but just saying that they are aware of Shiva and all that, I don't.
So when we say Shiva, of course, we don't mean the sophisticated Shiva as we know, but maybe the earlier form of Shiva, that like what you see in the Harappan times also, in the coins, right? You see that Pashupatinath kind of image in the seal. So something similar to that might have been in different parts of the world. That's not something we should discount.
We should not discount, but we should also not accept it unless there is a solid proof.
That's
because people come up with so many weird stories that makes Hinduism diluted.
Yeah, they kind of add flesh to those stories. But the thing is that there was we should not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Okay, they are talking nonsense, so everything is nonsense. That's not the way to.
But again, like Krishna has given the guidance, right? That it has that which is established through logical deduction. Vyavasayatmika buddhir ekeha hi kurunandana. Bahushaka hi anantascha buddhaya avyavasayinam. That means something that's established through logic and reasoning, correct reasoning, not some reasoning, but correct reasoning. That is the one. There is only one like that. So unless that is the point, people will come up with Bahushaka. That means everybody has some idea, right? That is why you should discount all of them unless it is established through sound arguments. Sound argument is very important.
Makkah is one of these where
we'll not finish this today. So let's go to the next one. But again, that is what I'm saying, that we should make sure that there's sound argument and not somebody said something. But again, let's move from here. The Dhanu Rashi here where Ketu gets exaltation. So Kashi Vishwanatha solves Ketu problems. If there's any Ketu problem, Kashi Vishwanatha solves.
That's why people, after people go do the
death, right? So he also rules death. Ketu rules death. So yes.
Ashes they.
Correct. That's Ketu. Who gets exaltation here?
Mars. Shabai.
So this is Kuja or Mars, and Mars Jyotirlinga is Bhima Shankara. So again, I don't know. I think it's probably in Maharashtra, Bhima Shankara. So Bhima Shankara solves the any kind of Mars issues. Kedarnatha, of course, Himalayas. right? There's no graha that gets exaltation here, but again, Kedarnatha is a one of the Jyotirlingas. Triambakeshwara, very, very, famous. Who gets exaltation here?
Venus.
Venus. What did Venus get from Triambakeshwara?
I mean, it's getting peaceful, or
You don't. This is not this class level. You are telling kindergarten level. No. Tell me in this class level. Peace and all.
and I know you told me once, is getting the
Look at the name. Triambakeshwara. What is it associated with?
3 eyes.
Huh? No. That's fine. But what is that name associated with? Who is Triambakeshwara?
Shiva.
Hey, come on. Triambakeshwara is Mrityunjaya.
Mrityunjaya.
Oh, yeah.
Triambakam Yajamahe, right?
Mrityunjaya.
The Mrityunjaya mantra that Shukra got, through which he brought the asuras who are dead back to life. That Mrityunjaya mantra was given by Triambakeshwara to Shukra. That is why Shukra gets exalted here. Because Shukra is connected to Shiva. Shiva makes Shukra. Right? And then he gives him the Triambakeshwara mantra. And the Triambakeshwara...
There are other lingas also, which is usually talking like 5. Agni Linga, Vayu Linga, Jala Linga. Where is that?
We'll come to that one.
Oh, okay.
I'm showing here. See? Are you seeing?
Yeah.
So, but that's the next aspect. But let's finish this aspect first.
Okay.
Worship of Shiva you should do in Jyotirlinga. And what is the effect? How is it connected? With Jyotirlinga you should do. Look at your Rashi, which Rashi you are. Pick that Jyotirlinga. Do that Jyotirlinga mantra. That's it. That is the best because that gives the moon its light.
What is Krishneshwara related to which graha?
Sun. But again, there is no graha that gets exalted in Leo or Scorpio and Aquarius. So there is no graha that gets it. But this is the throne in which the Jyotirlinga sits. This is the 8th house, Vaidyanatha, and he's the curer of disease. It's the 8th house, the house of disease. And then Kedareshwara, the 11th house. Again, Hara, right? He's the god of death. Okay. So how you should always know the story and the application. I'm telling you the application. If a story has no application, it has no use. What is the application? Look at your Rashi, not Linda Goodman Rashi. Your lunar Janma Nakshatra, which Rashi it is in. Pick that Rashi, pick that Jyotirlinga, start doing the mantra of that Jyotirlinga. It is going to help you. You will know that. You will tell me in one of these classes.
It's just based on the moon position only, or the Lagna position also?
No, moon position. Based on the Lagna position is this one.
Okay.
Because that's the one that ties this. This is based on the moon. This is based on Lagna. Right? Again, this is also based on the the graha. That is, if say Shani is Nicha, right here. Shani is Nicha here. So you can use Mahakaleshwara to put light into him, Shani, who is here.
So for Virchiga Rashi, moon is always a Nicha.
So use Vaidyanatha.
They need to do Somanatha or Vaidyanatha? That's the question.
No, if you want to put the light back into the moon, knowledge back into the moon, you do Somanatha. If you want to help your Janma Rashi, you do Vaidyanatha. Okay. So that's the thing. If you want to target the graha, you use the exaltation Jyotirlinga of that graha. if you want to do Janma Rashi, that means your whole life, your everything, attitude, everything, not just the Graha, then you do for the Janma Rashi. Okay, that is the concept of Jyotirlinga and its application in your life. First thing you would need to know is your nakshatra and your Rashi. If you don't know, you're not even qualified for this class. So don't even tell me. Okay. Good?
Very
How
good.
are we doing so far?
Super.
Okay. So tied to the Lagna, the physical form, is something called as the Ashtamurti Shiva, the 8 Murtis of Shiva. This is tied to the Vasus, right? They are Ashtavasus. They are the resources through which the world is created. And Shiva here, Ashtamurti is the Bhutanatha. You know, they say Bhutanatha, Bhuteshwara, Mahabhuta. That is this Ashtamurti Shiva. He who is in the capacity of a creator. This is the capacity of the creator, not in the capacity of Hara. This is the capacity of the creator. That is Bhutanatha. In this form, what are the 8 forms of that Bhutanatha Ashtamurti? Sharva, Bhava, Rudra, Ugra, Bhima, Pashupati, Mahadeva, Ishana. These are the Ashtamurtis of Shiva. These are all Jyotirlinga, right? Sharva is the Bhumi Tattva Jyotirlinga. Bhumi, Tattva Jyotirlinga. And it helps the Graha. What Tattva is? See, we talked about Graha here. Here is Graha Tattva, right? Bhumi Tattva is ruled by Mercury. Mercury rules Bhumi Tattva. And then any Tattva dosha in the horoscope is cleared by that Ashtamurti. If you do that Ashtamurti, Om Namo Bhagavate Sharvaya, that becomes the mantra of this Ashtamurti. And I think that is in Kanchi. Some of them are in, I think all these 3 is in Tamil Nadu. Okay. This is not Tirukkoil.
Srirangam. Near to Srirangam.
Oh, near to Srirangam.
Yeah, I went there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that is also in Tamil Nadu. So Bhava is Jalalinga, right? And that is what is the Jala Tattva? Who rules Jala Tattva? Shukra. So Tattva dosha that comes from Shukra will be solved by this Bhava. Rudra is Agnilinga, Agni Jyotirlinga. He solves the problem of Kuja and Ketu. Tattva, that's Agni Tattva. Right? I mean, if you have any kind of Agni dosha, then that is this one. It is solved by this. Tiruvannamalai. That is where it is.
It is Tamil Nadu also.
Yeah. Ugra is Vayulinga. That is Kalahasti. You know, Kalahasti, there is that's also Vayulinga. Vayu Tattva is ruled by both Shani and Rahu. So you go to Kalahasti for Rahu problems as well as Vayu Tattva doshas. So if there's a Rahu problem, you go to Kalahasti. Right? And the reason is it's the Vayu Tattva is solved by Ugra, which is Vayu Jyotirlinga, which is in Kalahasti. Bhima Jyotirlinga is Akasha, Chidambaram. That solves, Guru rules the Akasha Tattva, that solves any Tattva dosha that happens through Guru. That is in Chidambaram. Pashupadinatha, Lagna problems. Yajamana, that is in Nepal, Kathmandu. Right? Kathmandu, Pashupadinatheshwara is there.
Sunil, why Yajamana is listed in this one, like compared to all the Panchapudas, how does Yajamana fit into these?
No, Yajamana is because it is Lagna. Lagna is self.
Okay.
Right? This is Panchagrahas, Surya, Chandra and Lagna.
Oh, okay.
So if you look at this, it's 9 graphs, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and Lagna, 10 aspects.
Okay.
Right? So that is in Kathmandu. Moon, Mahadeva, Ashtamurti is moon. solves the Tattva dosha of Chandra, and then it is in Bengal. I don't know the place where it is in Bengal, but it is in Vanga or Banga. Ishana is Konark, the Konark Sun Temple, right? The Ashtamurti of Shiva is there, Konark. That solves the Tattva dosha of Surya Deva. So that is the thing. So that is the Jyotirlinga that gives you knowledge, and Ashtamurti that solves the Tattva problems. Right? Too much Agni is creating a lot of acid in the stomach. Then which one will you pick? Application. I'm asking about application. You have a lot of acid in the stomach.
Rudra.
Agni. Because it's the Agni Tattva dosha. You're completely distracted. You don't have any focus. Which you will use in the Ashtamurti?
Mahadeva.
Also this one, Vayu. It will come in control, right? Vayu is distraction. Ugra creates, loses that problem. So like that, these are the applications of these things. These are concepts. These are concepts of different forms, the Jyotirlingas that gives knowledge, and the Ashtamurtis that take the role of Shiva as a creator. Right? He's the creator. He's because it's Ahankara. From Ahankara's Sattvarupa, Rajorupa, Tamorupa, all of the other things happen, right? So the Tamorupa of Ahankara, so that comes from Sadashiva leading to all of this tattvas. Right? That is the creation aspect.
Sunil, you already mentioned the Jyotirlinga mantra. How do you say the Ashtamurti mantra?
You can say Om Namo Bhagavate Sharvaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Bhavaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya, Om Namo Bhagavate Ugraya, Om Namo Bhagavate Bhimaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Pashupataye, Om Namo Bhagavate Mahadevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Ishanaya.
Okay.
That is the one.
So this is for the Lagna issues, right? So based on
Tattva issues. If there's a Tattva issues, then you use this for which. So if there's a Jala Tattva issue, or Agni Tattva issue or a Bhuta Tattva issue, so then you use one of these mantras to pray for that. Okay. Just one line, one pada of that 24th shloka has taken 2 hours. Right? That is and we are still scratching the surface. I've not even covered so many different aspects are there. Because Shiva is such a high deity, it is very important to deep dive and see all of these important things. And applications, right? Application is important. Anybody can read books. How do you apply? That is, we don't want people to be bookish in this class. You need to be able to apply this, apply upasana, apply the mantras, use it in your life. Right? That is the importance of this class.
Sunil, on the Jyotirlinga, say if somebody wants to do the Vaidyanatha, pray on Vaidyanatha or Mahakaleshwara, so do they have to do the same thing? Om Namo Bhagavate Vaidyanatha?
No, there's a different one. I'll tell you later. Okay. Okay. So
केदारनाथ और पशुपतिनाथ बोलते हैं कि केदारनाथ का दर्शन करो तो पशुपतिनाथ का दर्शन करना जरूरी है.
Okay, if you do
केदारनाथ का दर्शन जो करते हैं ना, उसको पशुपतिनाथ का दर्शन करना जरूरी है, ऐसा मैंने सुना है.
Okay. So I think we've covered a lot here about Shiva and his different forms, his Jyotirlinga aspects, and his Ashtamurti aspect. So you should know a lot about Shiva now. Right? So it's about 12:22. Is there any question? Any questions on this? And are these still there? I mean, all of these Ashtamurtis, are they original? Or
no, I think I've seen the first 5 lingas, Panchabhuta lingas in the south. All of them are in south. Panchabhuta Lingas.
Yeah,
No,
which means probably they were
in
saved.
in the original place because they were not invaded that much by Muslims, so they are not. They are all in the original place.
They are original. Even Pashupati in
Tiruvannamalai. Yeah, all of them.
Tiruvannamalai, I'm pretty sure it is there, but not Jambu Kalesha on with the Srirangam.
Tiruvannamalai, it is there.
Invaded sometime and came back.
Yeah, Srirangam, what is his name? Mallikafur invaded, right? Srirangam.
Yeah, not Srirangam. This is this one, like Tiruvannamalai actually. The Jambukeshwara is in Tiruvannamalai. It is very close to Srirangam, but it is not in Srirangam actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe these Ashtamurtis are still there. So that's good news. So that is good.
Yeah.
They are still exhibiting the property of the air coming from Kalahasti, Vailingam, and fire hotness coming from Tiruvannamalai. That is still the properties are still there. You can feel it.
Yeah, yeah. What about Konark? Konark, the temple, was it destroyed?
Yeah, it is destroyed. It is totally destroyed, and then no prayer is offered there.
Oh my God.
Seriously.
So sad.
Yeah. You can see pictures. Like if you put Konark, that temple is totally destroyed, and then since it is not maintained, even the main structure, I heard it fell in some 1800s. There are pictures taken by the Britishers before that roof fell actually.
Wow. I mean,
when I visited, nobody can enter. Like you can see the things from the outside. You cannot go inside because the main dome fell inside, and then it is totally destroyed.
Okay. I mean, people are, doing Jeernoddhara, right? I mean, rebuilding temples here and there.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it make sense to, do the rebuilding of these original temples?
The problem is, like when it is destroyed, it goes under archaeology department.
That is the government, right? Government is the people. Government is the people. I mean, if people insist, then
with the current government, it will take a lot of effort because it is between if it's a live temple, it was maintained by the society, the local society, and then all these Dharmakarta and all those people.
Right.
But if it's a fell structure in the British India, it went to the archaeological department, and then they don't allow anything to be changed. It's not possible to change anything in the archaeology department because then it gets into the discussion of what was the original, how to trace it back, and then it becomes the documentation issue, right? So they don't allow anything to change, and then that's why even in Ayodhya, it is a fight between the archaeological department and then the local people, right? Because somehow they went and established the murti inside, then it became a worship place. That's how we are able to do all this tradition. In 1940s, they started offering prayers.
Who is this? I didn't recognize this. Who is talking?
Ilango Ramnath.
Oh wow! Okay. Very nice. Very nice to have you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think old timers recognize him. If you have been to my the Kathopanishad classes and previous classes, he used to be in Houston at that time.
Yeah, I moved and then I miss you.
Oh, so nice to have you. Very good. So that's one of the good things about Zoom class, right? Anybody can connect.
Yeah. I'm blessed.
Fantastic. So so again, I mean, because it's people want to keep things in ruin. Because of I mean, that's the sad part.
Yeah.
Anyway, so any questions?
I have to admit, Sunil, I got really sad to hear all this.
Yeah, I mean, it's very sad. It's very, very sad. And the sad part is it's like, one is that you cannot defend this. The other one is once it is in ruins, you are not restoring it. Two aspects of it. Both.
Yeah, I think eventually it will happen. There are a lot of positive things because with the government and then our attitude change, it is possible. Like there was no praying in Velur, like the Velur temple wasn't there. About 20-30 years back, the volunteers and the local people with the help of RSS, they went and established the linka there. And then for last 20 years, Velur.
Belur.
Yeah.
Karnataka?
No, in Tamil Nadu. In Tamil Nadu.
Vellore.
Oh, Belur.
Yeah,
The
Vellore.
Golden Temple is there.
Yeah, now there is an active temple. They found the linga, which was about 10-20 miles from the main temple. They find the linga, and then that linga they found out, the linga cannot go inside because they place the linga and then build the temple around. So they had to, because that's how they identified this is the linga belonging to the main temple. So they moved the linga out and then established, and then now it's a full-fledged temple. So things can happen. Yeah, the entire fort belongs to archaeological department. Within that fort, just the temple itself is very active, and then now prayer is offered there. So it is possible, and things are happening, to the positive side. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are all the things about Shiva. Okay, Shiva, see that he is the giver of knowledge, right? That this is the aspect of that giver of knowledge. Very, very important. Because when the knowledge is gone, you go to the path where you don't defend. Why people don't defend? Because the knowledge that you have to defend is gone. And people have come up with all this, things, the things where, you don't have to defend because of ahimsa, this thing and that thing. All of that bad things comes. Why? Because that the jyoti of knowledge is absent. So if jyoti is absent, Jyotirlinga will be absent. That's it. Okay, on that sad note, if you don't have any more questions, we can stop. Any more questions? Everybody is silent. You can unmute at this time. Please unmute. Yeah.
No, it's a really good class, Neil, but like I said, it is really, really sad. Honestly, I didn't even know that the lingas were really lost.
Yeah. I mean, the Jyotirlingas are lost.
And typically, they don't allow the linga to be moved, they just try to hide it and then move it somewhere else. When the fight happens, one of the last thing they try to save is move the Shiva linga and then hide it somewhere else, so that they don't get access to that because they will destroy it. So they try to move, and then there are a lot of stories about the Srirangam also, they move the deity.
Correct. Srirangam, yes. Malika.
Yes. And come back.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true.
So they
Yes, Srirangam.
Main deity to be destroyed.
Yeah.
Only thing is now we have to find it and then reinstall it.
See, for a tradition to live, it has to be a living tradition where what has happened is I don't know who gave this kind of a metaphor. Like when you're going in the car, as long as you are pushing that gas pedal, you're moving, right? And then when you remove your leg from that, your feet from that, what happens? You're still moving because of the previous momentum, but then you're not adding anything to the tradition. It's no longer a living tradition. Yes, it's moving, but it's a dead tradition. So most of Hindu, is becoming like this. It's just because there is nothing being added. There's nothing being added into it. We just, for every theory and everything, we only point to 500 years ago, 2000 years ago, 3000 years ago. But what about now? Who's creating that? No. Why is all this in ruins? Why cannot we make it a living tradition of restoring all of this? No. So if this is in ruins, then finally it's going to catch up, and then the car is going to stop, right? I mean, then the tradition will be in ruins. So that is why it is very important to do these mantras of Jyotirlingas, because that is what keeps the traditions alive. The Ashtamurtis, the Jyotirlingas, these are the ones that keeps the tradition alive. And so that's why it's very important. And it's going to be very positive because I can tell you from experience, Jyotirlinga mantras are very, very powerful. It is very important. Okay, with that, if there's no other question, let's stop at this point. and we've exhausted everything about Shiva that at least I know. Then we'll do Kubera next time. Kubera and all of those, all of the other pratikas. Okay. Okay. Let's finish with the prayer. Om Vasudeva Sutam
Vasutam
Devam
Devam
Kamsachanora
Kamsachanora
Mardhanam
Dhanam
Devaki
Devaki
Paramanandam
Paramanandam
Krishnam Vande
Krishnam Vande
Jagat Gurum.
Jagadgurum.
Om. Okay, so we will do the Kubera and Meru. What is Meru Parvata? We'll see all of those things next time. So I
you
think
need to show us where it is.
yeah,
Very interesting. Shiva.
yes, we'll see where the Meru Parvata is. I think what I was thinking is, since not much is going to happen in summer and nobody is going to be traveling much, we will probably continue on a weekly basis even through summer if people are okay with it.
Sure.
Okay, that way we know we can cover some lost ground for the 11th chapter and the 12th. I mean for the 10th chapter and the 11th chapter, and then we'll come back to class whenever that is. Awesome. So
Right.
I think I should thank Sahana because she was always telling me to start the Zoom class, and I was telling her, no, I hate this online, but I think now I'm getting used to it, and I like free flow, and that's why it's easy for me to write on the whiteboard and all of those things. But now, with creating some document and then going through that, that gives me that free flow that I need when I'm teaching. So I think this format is here to stay. Even when we go back to class, we'll find out something we can do on Zoom and come back to Zoom.
Oh, that will be great, Sunil, for me.
Yeah, especially for people who used to come to class and they've moved on and they are in different parts of the world, different parts of the country. That's that's an easy way for them to also connect. So yeah, that'd be awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, so see you all next Sunday to continue with. Hold on, there's some questions in the chat. 1 second. Thank you. Oh, okay, awesome. Okay, see you everybody. See you.
Thank you, Sunil.
Bye.
Bye-bye.